The skill that all employers need but is overlooked by most new starters. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video I just want to talk about something that's really obvious to everybody in the industry, but it seems to be less and less obvious to people that are trying to get into the industry. That the major skill that all the employers need their new starters to know is how their mine works. Now, whether you learn that before you go or you put the trust in the employer to train you when you get to site, and just, if anybody's watched any of my stuff, they'll know that if you go to site green, it's 3 in 5 fail in the first 6 months, where all the jobs are at the moment, and underground, hard rock underground and surface exploration. It's just the way it is, because the issue that all the employers have is that they have not teaching you how to do the practical side of the jobs. That's really easy. It's teaching you enough about how the mine works so they can leave you alone to get on with the job by yourself. So if you can already approach the employer knowing how their mine works, then you've genuinely got something to offer them. Now, with the hard rock underground, you can do that by using the sponsors training, the intro to underground mining, or the work ready packages. It's got all the information that the employers need you to know so they can leave you alone and throw you in the deep end. There's a great video on our YouTube channel, Getting Thrown in the Deep End, that I suggest everybody watches. It teaches you, it goes through why people fail and what happens when you get to site and what goes on. So it's a good video to watch. But there's lots of employment around. If you type underground into Seek, you'll see all the jobs come up. We've got our mining jobs to apply for page. So if you sign up for one of the packages, the DIY or the work ready, then you can follow along here and apply for all these jobs. These are all the jobs that we think you should be applying for once you've got your mining knowledge up to speed. And these are all the people that from our Wall of Fame page that have gotten jobs using it. So if you know how the employer's mine works, then you've generally got something to offer them. And it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what sex you are, it doesn't really matter what background that you come from. We've had people from very diverse backgrounds get jobs. It's all about knowing how the employer's mine works. So you've got to know what's going on their site, and you can apply the same thing through to any of the mining jobs that you want to get into. The underground course is a good way to go because they use the same rules in the hard rock underground space as they do on the surface. So it teaches you about safety meetings and tag boards and how goes through all the rules and all that sort of stuff, so you know what's going on. And there's a lot of transferable skills between the underground and the surface, with scaling and watering down and putting polypipe together and pulling it apart and all that sort of stuff. So the more you know about how the mine works before you go and start looking for these jobs, the much easier it is to get an interview and get your start. And that's what all these people have done. They've all educated themselves and they've got themselves a start. So that's one of the big things that people overlook. They overlook the fact that knowing how the employer's mine works is an actual skill that the employer needs and uses. Most people get stuck on learning how to drive a truck or something like that, and most of the trucks that people go and do tickets and get qualifications on, we don't use those trucks underground, or we don't use those trucks in the open pit, in the deep pits. It's horses for courses. If you understand how the industry works, then it gives you a huge advantage over everybody else trying to get in, because most people are just throwing their hat in the ring on a wing and a prayer. So I hope you found that information helpful, and that's one of the biggest things, the biggest skill that people overlook is knowing how the mine works. If you can show the employer that you know how their mine works, then you've got something to offer them and they will hire you, because people are very desperate for employees in the hard rock underground and the surface exploration areas of the industry. So if you could share this information around and like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful. Thanks.